This week's topic is about business planning. Now, who freaks out when they hear the words business plan? Most people do. When I say it to a customer, they glaze over and they go, business plan. So, I am going to tell you that a business plan can be done on 1 or 2 pages, not 30 pages. It doesn't have to have graphs, and it doesn't have to have fancy figures or anything, or fancy words, or a nice big bound cover on the front and pictures and everything. You can do that if you wish, but we're going to do a business plan tonight for this person who is completely fictitious. Made her up just about 5 minutes ago, and you're going to see that we can do one in an hour. So tonight is a case study where you'll be working in groups, because that's the best way to business plan. You need to brainstorm ideas, so I would recommend that if you are going to business plan, you do it with colleagues or friends. Wine helps. Big piece of paper, pens, and just write everything down. Don't worry about putting it into any order straight away, just write it all down, write all your ideas down, and then you can start ordering it. So tonight our case study is about Cara. She's a mother of 2, 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. She loves gardening. She wants to set up a business. She has $5,000 in savings. Her husband works 40 hours a week. There are supportive grandparents to help with babysitting, and she owns a Mazda MPV, which is a people mover. If anyone wants to know what that one is, one was parked out in the car park as you entered, so a lot of space and a big vehicle. So that's what she's got. Her youngest has just gone off to school, so she's got some time on her hands. She doesn't really want to get a job for minimum wage, so she wants to set up a business. So you're in groups, and just 2 groups tonight. I'd like you to discuss a business idea. So the first thing with any business plan is you must come up with a business idea. Normally you'd have one, not actually trying to make one up for somebody else, but in this situation that's what we're going to do. So there you go, come up with a business idea for her. So, before people get too far ahead, so this is our scenario, our business planning. So we're a case study. This is how I like to work a business plan, is you have 5 steps really. The business idea, the business vision or mission statement. That just keeps you on track of what you're doing. SWOT analysis, which is looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, which I'll go through in a minute. Goal setting and review your plan. It's all very well to write one, but if you don't go back and review it, you won't know if what you've achieved or if you've stayed on target. A business plan in my mind is a living document. It should be reviewed regularly, yearly at a minimum, but keep adding to it. It doesn't have to be that 1 or 2 pieces of paper that you wrote 2 years ago and just put in the bottom drawer. It should be always regularly looked at, and especially the part of the goal setting, because once you've set goals you need to know if you've achieved them, and once you've achieved them you set more goals. Right, so I'll call this group 1 and group 2 at the back there. So group 1, what was your business idea?
It was a mobile gardening business.
Mobile gardening, good.
Made it out of a car, and between between 9:30 2:30 school hours. Yeah.
Great, good. Group 2.
Yeah, anybody step up. We were thinking more along the lines of possibly starting a sort of a home nursery almost.
Yep.
So seeds, little plants, that sort of variety option, but also possibly gardening as well. like doing people's gardens, other people's.
Okay, so having a nursery at home where people just drop by and buy off her.
Yeah, obviously.
Sort of roadside
side of the
stall type
road,
thing.
a whole lot of options for advertising
Okay.
that, but maybe that's an option, yeah.
Also using the van to do markets, that sort of thing as well. So-
Good. So you can see that from one case study we have two completely different ideas. And that's what happens in business. You may have an idea about what you'd want to do, but after you talk with somebody else, your idea might change slightly, which is fine. So that's why I think business planning is definitely something to be done with other people, or at least one other person, so that you can really get the full idea of and capture what you really want to be doing. All right, so you've got your individual business ideas in your groups. That didn't take long. We had to come up with a vision or a mission statement. My business's mission statement is improving lives through business success. So that's what I believe in. Nice and simple. And that's what we want for this person's business. It doesn't have to be just one sentence. It can be a couple of sentences. It just be what they want to be doing, what they feel is important to their business. All right. So that, and then you're not going to give you 10 minutes to discuss that. I'm going to give you a bit longer for this. Now we're going to discuss this here. So strengths and weaknesses. I'm looking at the business person's strengths and weaknesses. What they're good at, what they're not good at. Now of course this person is fictitious, so you can make something up, but there are some factors in there. She's a mother. She's available school hours. She has children to look after. Her husband works a lot. So there are restrictions, for example, on her time. So I don't like to call that a weakness, but in the business idea that would be what we'd call it a weakness, because she can't focus on her business 100% of the time, or 40 hours a week, for example. So it's finding out what her strengths are. So she loves gardening, how she can use her love of gardening to create this business. Does she have time to market? Does she have time to do the accounting side? Those sort of things. So that's when you're looking at your business plans, you need to decide what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And as I mentioned last time, we need to find those out quite early on. Otherwise it can be a problem going forward to make the business grow. Opportunities and threats are external factors. Opportunities are your market, who you're going to be advertising to, who are your clients, who are your customers, where am I going to get those customers from, how do I tell them about what I'm doing. Threats are competition. In this particular person's case, in Group 2's example with a market garden type of idea, I think weather could be a threat, possibly. So we need to be looking at that. The government can be a threat, and I don't mean that in a bad thing, but they can create policy or law which can actually change a business completely. I'm just thinking of the beekeeping business, if I may use that. If they brought in a law that banned people keeping bees, that wouldn't necessarily do well for your business.
Oh, look, there's plenty of laws and that stop people selling honey at the markets, but
Yeah.
it doesn't stop people.
No. So there is things like that that can happen. They could turn around. I mean, one classic example of a change in law which affected a lot of people was you had to be a qualified financial advisor. You actually had to sit more exams. So I'm a chartered accountant, I sat a lot of exams, and I was okay giving financial advice until they brought this law in which said, no, you're not a qualified financial advisor anymore. You can still do accounting and do that, but you can't advise where people can invest their money anymore. Unless I want to go and do some more exams, but I feel I'm done doing exams for the moment. So that was a change that I could not actually do for people. So that's a type of threat that can occur. And you'll probably see, I mean, an example also is in Australia, they're going to close the car factories down. So that's a huge threat just for them, but also the flow on for a lot of other businesses and suppliers and everything else that a decision's been made which is stopping everything. So what do we do now? So in her example, it could be a change in regulation of fertilisers used in certain gardening products. It could be a regulation that could affect her actually taking her produce to the market to sell. So that those are the things to be considered, and this takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to give you a bit of time to discuss these, and I want you to really think about it. And when you're thinking about the case study, think about your business idea, what you're doing, because I want to see a 2-page business plan from everybody next week. Homework. So no one's going to turn up next week, are they? It's okay, you don't have to, but it would be good. It would be good to say, I've done it. Because it shouldn't take that long. And we'll go into goal setting later. So your task is that and that. Off you go.
Just a question.
Yes.
For the business planning, is it something we really need to do or?
Do you have a business?
Yes.
I would advise it. Even if you have a business, I think it's important to to look at a plan.
But is it a requirement?
No,
Or-
no, it's not a legal requirement at all.
So it's not something we need to
No.
give to someone.
No, you don't have to give it to anyone. It's something you would do for yourself and for your business, and so you can measure how successful your business has been over a period of time.
Okay.
Sometimes, however, if you want to borrow money from a bank, they will require a business plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you are looking for finance, then you may be required to do a plan. And just a question for the bank manager, 2-page business plan is preferable to 30 pages?
Yeah, if you want to put response,
Yeah, exactly.
make it simple.
Yeah. So just
Simple
some
and relevant.
feedback from you, from a bank perspective, is this type of thing adequate enough?
Yep.
Good.
Because a lot of people come to finance, particularly sole traders or startups like this, without any of that.
Yep.
I'm setting up business, I want a $5,000 overdraft.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not going to be wages anymore.
Cool. Well, that's good.
There's a problem with that?
Yeah, there it is.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll check in with each group in a minute. How is the mission statement or vision going?
That was quite difficult.
And
Yeah.
so we got some advice from our
Oh,
business consultant.
Great. So what did your business consultant tell you to do then?
Something along the lines of planting knowledge, and we've kind of forgotten the rest of it.
Is it planting knowledge with the knowledge of plants?
Oh, yep, that's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
We came up with our line.
Yeah, and it's share.
My gloves, your garden, no effort to you.
Fantastic.
Sorry?
My gloves,
Oh,
your
gloves,
garden,
right,
no
cool.
effort to you.
Yes, great, excellent. As I mentioned in your groups, this particular statement can be used in your marketing plan, can be used to can be used as a slogan, or it can just be a statement. You can come up with a different marketing or slogan. That's absolutely fine. But it just gives you some sort of focus. And if you decide after a year that your business has changed its focus, you just change that. It doesn't matter. It's not set in concrete. SWOT analysis. Group 1, some strengths.
We had her knowledge
Yep, knowledge.
of gardening, she's got a passion for gardening, her knowledge, her physical ability,
Yep,
her enthusiasm and her keenness for the fact that she's got backup and for child minding
great.
and support of family, and we also gave her a horticultural garden design diploma.
Fantastic. I would. Strengths for group 2? Because they're bearing in mind they're quite different business ideas that we're going with.
Yeah, so gardening skills and knowledge, the grandparents, having the family around her as a strength to support her, having a vehicle and a second income to help ensure that, you know, they're not reliant necessarily on what the business is bringing in.
Yeah, she's not panicking about living day to day and stuff.
Yep.
Home base is a strength in that early stage, and that they can be travel from there. Young, enthusiastic, niche marketing, flexibility around product diversity.
Great. Weaknesses?
If the children or the grandparents, the babysitters got sick, she might need a plan B.
Yes.
We thought she might have a few allergies to pollen.
Which can't be great.
Great choice of business.
Should be.
We thought that she's not really good at accounting. She's not got a great financial head or business skills on that side. So
I could recommend an accountant for her, so that would be fine.
We've told her about it.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
and she might have some limited equipment for the business.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was more that limited equipment before she sets up, before she starts
Yeah.
cutting into her capital.
Great. Weaknesses for group 2?
Partner. Don't know whether that's particularly fair or not, but just the idea that he's not always available, so he's 40 hours a week, whatever he's tied up. So that was a weakness. Limited business experience, yep, so just getting started. Lack of knowledge about regulations, planning regulations, that sort of thing. The weakness, maybe limited scale, hard to sort of be commercially viable, and children getting sick, you know, and just the whole kid thing, really.
Oh, they can pull out weeds.
Well, that's right. And they can pull out plants, and they don't always know the difference between what you
Correct.
want to pull out and what you don't want. So.
Strength and weaknesses.
A
Yes.
threat, a potential threat that needs to be, you know,
Sprayed.
dealt with.
Now, one thing that neither group have mentioned as a strength or a weakness is the price of the service or the pricing of the product. Now, I've said it could be a strength or a weakness, only because in group 1's scenario, it's an hourly rate service, I presume, that you'll be offering. So it's a mobile service. So factoring in how much is she going to charge per hour. So in a business plan, it would be quite, if you're doing a service, you need to come up with where's your ideal price or hourly rate and figuring
That
out.
could extend to where she's going. It might be
Absolutely.
that if she was in the here, but she's travelling 20k to the job.
So she may have to add for mileage or travel
Yeah.
costs. So that's something to factor in.
Mm.
It could be a weakness because she's unsure about what that is, so she needs to do some market research. Or it could be a strength because she's very adamant what she wants to earn per hour. And she can then market her service in relation to that hourly rate. And therefore a weakness could be trying to plan her day so she's not travelling from A to B and then back to
in.
A over here and then over to C, that she actually does a nice flow through effect of all the gardens that she needs to see on that day. So it's the travelling is all in one way.
For our model, would it not be more an opportunity or threat rather than strength or weakness with what the market is doing
Yep.
as far as the actual
Yeah,
product
yeah.
availability?
That's correct. In your situation, because you're selling a product, it could be a strength or weakness because she may know what the market is selling, so she has some knowledge of pricing. So that would be a strength, or it could be a weakness because she doesn't know. But the opportunity would be how the market fluctuates. Like there could be all of a sudden a shortage of tomatoes, and she's decided that she can grow tomato plants really, really well. So she all of a sudden has an abundance of tomato plants that everybody wants them. So she can look at her opportunities in that respect and check what's running out in stocks in other places and make sure that she's got that sort of thing.
Yeah, we talked about that ability to be flexible, you know, while she's still small, so around whatever the market's doing or whatever their I think bananas at the moment, there's a shortage. It takes a bit longer to grow bananas, of course, but you
In,
know,
in New Zealand, yes, it does take quite a long time to grow bananas.
No, there was,
But I understand that,
there
yeah.
was the instance of, like you're saying about tomatoes, like I think 2
Yeah.
years ago we basically, we couldn't export to Australia.
Yeah.
And suddenly the price of tomatoes just dropped in the domestic market
Yeah.
because flooded.
Exactly, and that would affect the types of plants. I mean, people are not going to grow their own tomatoes if they're really, really cheap at the supermarket. So if she's just doing plants, she has to sort of be aware of those factors, which it can be a strength or weakness, because it depends, is she aware of how does she get the information about what the market's doing, how does she get the information about pricing. And for her, when she's going to do these markets, where her position in that market on that day would be. Is she right next door to every other plant seller?
Obviously, a lot of this though is just jumping in the deep end and picking it up. as
Of
well.
course it is.
Yeah,
Any business is jumping in the deep end.
I mean, you can,
Absolutely.
you can plan your kingdom coming back, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And this is just something that, I mean, people will go into business and not plan, and they'll
No,
do a whole year.
I
Yeah,
fully see the point of the
yeah,
plan. but
yeah, yeah.
But it is quite an interesting thing, like I have, I talk to quite a few small scale beekeepers, and it's quite interesting to just see that they don't always understand where the markets are at, because they're not having the same exposure to it as I am. And
Yeah.
so it is quite interesting to, you know, knowledge is kind of the power of it, and it does cost you if you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have to be up with tax law. Funny that, really. And that would be bad if I didn't know about a tax law that was occurring. For me, elections, I have to be really onto that, because every time there's an election, everybody's promising all this stuff, and they promise tax cuts, and they promise this, and they promise that, and you go, okay, so I've got to get my head around this. And a lot of the promises, that's fine, because what the government does, they'll make a bill, but the bill doesn't necessarily become a law. It becomes something, a discussion document, and you get all this information about this thing that they're talking about making a law, but it doesn't necessarily become a law. Or it becomes a law and then they backdate it, which is really frustrating, because you think, well, they've discussed it, yeah, okay, aware of it, nothing happens. 6 months later they go, yes, we've made it law and we're backdating it a whole year. And so that's really quite difficult at times. So you do have to keep up with it, and every business owner needs to. I mean, I think it's really important you read the newspaper and see what's happening, because in this particular person's situation on both teams here, weather is a factor. Can't do mobile gardening if it's bad weather. Bad weather affects the growing of the plants. So if she's creating a market garden, she's going to need equipment, glass houses, shade houses, those sort of things, to be able to create the plants in a good environment so they're not affected by the elements so much. Irrigation. So her $5,000 that we had up there before is definitely going to be spent. In this case, the tools, you know, you can get them reasonably cheaply, and she might have a few things in the garden shed. So for her, in the group 1 scenario, getting into business could be quite quick, a lot quicker than maybe group 2 scenario. So the planning process helps you sort of understand where to be. So the pricing is really important, and I would factor in here as well. But it's also another thing to think about is equipment and other bits and pieces. Is the vehicle good enough to do it? In your situation, rubbish removal, do we take the rubbish with us, or do we leave it with the customer and put it in their wheelie bin? Something to think about there too. Again, that would factor into price, because
And there's cost of removal and dumping.
cost of removal and dumping. Yeah,
Or an opportunity to make more compost to sell on.
correct. So there we are, another opportunity.
Agriculture.
Okay, so group 1, your opportunities.
We talked about the area that she lives in around here. Good to be that she could tap into the retired community.
Yes.
A lot of retired people, and also working couples who, you know, don't have the time to garden. And also the local personal networks through having the children, husband's business, that sort of thing.
School's a great network.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's a fantastic network to advertise your business
yeah,
because you just talk to people when you're waiting to pick up your kids.
yeah. And also we talked about with the school thing, getting the kids involved through the school. You know, some of the schools have
School holiday program,
programs,
Yes.
so that she
sort of
could
thing.
do that, which would accommodate her children in the school holidays.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she could run some courses, possibly. She could provide some work experience opportunities if she, you know, needed an extra pair of hands, maybe do something that way. Selling to, maybe expanding. For example, she could be propagating some plants, creating her own stock outside of gardening hours and selling those to existing clients. You know, building the business up.
Well, sounds like competition for group 2, yeah?
And
I
also
get
just,
that.
and also where she's having to source her places, so say she was going to the garden centre at 9 to 10, she could use that opportunity for dropping off flyers, business cards.
Absolutely. Okay, group 2, opportunities.
Seasonal, yeah, leveraging the seasons, so growing specifically for seasons, so product that you can sell it in summer, winter, spring, autumn. Then identifying niche markets, so she's only small, so focus on that sort of thing as an opportunity, so you're not competing against, you know, big suppliers of product. Talked about, yeah, getting into schools, education, children, running programs through council, community gardens, all those opportunities. Anything else, Jenny?
There's something else to look up.
No.
We'll settle for that.
So it appears we've covered it.
Fantastic.
We did talk about it a lot, I mean, it's.
I think we didn't.
It's further along on all those lines.
Yeah, we didn't go to here, but in our earlier conversation, we talked about the idea of an opportunity to diversify into the into the, what did you describe it as, you know, into the, you know, landscaping, garden design,
right, okay.
all of that sort of stuff. So you go out to deliver your plants in somebody's garden, and then you start talking about what would look good where. Yes, I can get products cheaply for that, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you're doing, you know,
Consulting
design.
service.
Yeah, consultant, you know, all of that. Business opportunities to take that sort of stuff into business as well.
Fantastic. Like that's almost like a part of goal setting, sort of 5-year plan or 4-year plan or something. That's great.
That would be a good way to structure that.
Yes. It's going to write that down there. Threats group 1.
Threats, well, competition from other sort of gardeners in the area. We talked about some of the things we mentioned before, the you know, bad weather. The cost of, say, you know, some of the costs going up, like petrol, the car breaks down, finance has been unpredictable, insurance costs. We talked about, you know, kids getting sick or the grandparents getting sick, not being able to babysit, impacting. Maybe some of the plants she's purchased and getting diseased or, you know, those sort of problems. We talked about OSH, sort of health regulations, that sort of thing.
That's a very good point.
You know,
And liability, that something goes wrong when she's at someone's property.
Yep, so having
Who's
public
responsible
liability
for that?
insurance.
Probably it.
Okay, group 2.
Threat, the weather, seasons, biosecurity. Do you want to say a little bit more about the biosecurity thing? What might be examples of that?
I can't remember what we said before.
Moths.
Yeah, it's
Moths.
I think we
A
discovered.
great white butterfly.
Flies.
anything that comes in can be a potential threat to
Yes.
plants, and also that can be a potential threat to movement. If you can't go to the market to sell your product, then you're not going to sell your product.
No.
Um,
It's quite hard to sell the product online because you want to keep the, I suppose you could if you had the right packaging.
that's sort of our goal setting piece.
Oh, sorry, right, okay.
Yeah. we don't want to get too far ahead of us.
Some competition around.
The climate change was one of the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earthquakes.
Yeah, well, natural. I mean, I always sort of thought that weather kind of covered that, but I suppose like you have a drought or you have flooding, it does affect things.
And competition was another threat,
Yes.
obviously, from other suppliers, local, national and international.
Accessibility is the one that needs to be considered. So accessibility to where she's selling her product, or how she can be accessible to others. And with your group, how accessible is she to the gardens that she's got to?
Well, one of the things we talked about as well was the types of things that she can do as opposed to, say, someone that's 6'2" could do, or a male that's got more strength. So she goes to do this little old lady's flower garden and she says, oh, darling, I love loads of trees. She's got to get someone else in to
And
do
to
that.
do that, yeah,
So that was, could be a threat or a weakness.
exactly.
Or an opportunity as
Or
well,
an
I guess,
opportunity
because
to
then she
get
can,
someone we can
Yes, I
work
have.
with.
yeah, she can
Yeah.
contract out
Yep.
and have an arborist or, yeah.
Because also, if she gets injured, there's a weakness. She can't potentially do the stuff as well.
So then it comes, when we look at all of these things here, we start to think about marketing the business, so opportunities on how to market. You start to think about the image you want to portray for your business as well. So, and I'm just thinking, I had this image of her mobile gardening, and she's got pink gumboots, as I think someone said here, and she might have bright pink gloves, and she might have a nice sign on her car that's, got a nice pink and white flower or something like that, that really gives us the image of what she's doing. And image is important because whether we like it or not, first impressions, it takes 90 seconds to make a first impression, and you can't make a first impression after that 90 seconds because it's done. So people need to understand that when they see your business, whether it's in the paper advertised or whether it's on the side of your car or whether they're talking to a networking function, they need to understand what you are about in 90 seconds, who you are, what you do. And it's that split second. So, I mean, you can look around at sign-written vehicles and buildings and how their signage is, and there are some things that you go, wow, that looks really impressive. And then other times you might be looking for a business going, I can't find them. I know they're here somewhere. It says on my phone, on my map, that they're in here somewhere. And then you'll find this little wee sign on the door about that big. Has anyone had that? Yeah. So it's about making a statement, which I have done with my sign and my signs, because I needed to be seen. And I have a frog because he's quirky and I'm quirky, and I like my frog, and I quite like Bubbles. So that's why he's holding champagne, because it's about toasting business. That you just saw that, didn't you, Bernard? Yeah, just saw that.
I usually get the wine thing straight away, I missed that one.
Yeah. So he's toasting business success is what I see. So that was my whole image, and the jigsaw puzzle is like bringing all the elements together. So it's a little bit different than just saying a calculator on a sign, accountants with pluses or something like that. I just want it to be different. So when you're looking at your businesses, you need to think, well, what sets you apart from your competition, so your threats? How can I market myself differently? What's my point of difference? That's the thing. You've got to figure out what your point of difference is. And that is an opportunity. Opportunities are, yes, suss out the market, but figure out what you do really well and how do you do that better than your competitor. And that's how you'll get a different market, and that's how you'll get in. Even if you're all after the same customer, that's how you'll get that customer, because you've got something slightly different to offer than the other person. And it comes to marketing. Marketing does not have to be expensive. Facebook, LinkedIn's websites, They're all free. Yes, you have to pay for advertising on Facebook if you're targeting people. That's fine. With Facebook advertising, because you can target certain areas and certain people and certain age groups and certain genders, it can be quite good target marketing. Just look at the price. Newspaper advertising can be useful, but not everyone gets the newspaper anymore. Everyone gets those weekly, free weekly newspapers. I always like reading those because there's nothing negative in there, because they're all positive community stories. It's nice to read something happy, and since the news is always sad. But they also have a really good way of doing an editorial advert about a particular new business setting up, and that's quite interesting. And if you are looking at marketing your business out there, it could be worthwhile doing something in one of those weekly papers and pay the price for an editorial, so you can have photo, you can have your ad, and you can write about what you do.
Or because I've worked as a reporter, if you've got a cool angle for your business, it's a news story and that's free.
And that's free. The Business Matters page in the Nelson Mail on a Saturday is free, so if you have a new business. But yeah, absolutely. Writing, getting somebody to do your PR. You do PR? It's great because they can write about you. If you have, if you've got a great angle or something really new, exciting happening, get it into the paper and they'll go, oh, a news story. Free advertising. Talking to people is free. Being pleasant to people is free. Just going to put that out there. Customer service is important. You know, if someone's ringing you, then they want you to do something for them. That's exciting. It's not, oh my God, the phone's ringing, I can't handle it. No, they want my business. They want me. They've rung me. Just doesn't matter what day you're having, just try and answer the phone with a smile. Or make sure your staff answer the phone with a smile. That's the trick. So, and networking groups are great. So, I mean, I've school's been great for me. I talk to people. I'm quite a social person, so it's not hard for me to talk to people. I don't go up talking about accounting. Get to know people, and all of a sudden you might find a wee niche and go, oh yeah, I know a gardener. Can help, or I know where you can get a really good tomato plant. I know a great counsellor. Those sort of things. It's about that, talking. Business cards are great, but your website is the most important. Everyone looks for people on the internet now. If you haven't got a good website that hasn't got the right words for search engine functionality, then it won't work. You've got to get it done right. Because if you don't come up on...
branding to match, you want all your branding, whatever's on your
Absolutely,
website,
everything's got to match.
So that the symbol pops up everywhere.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, you can't have a website with stuff on it and then business card looks quite different. An ad in the Yellow Pages that looks different. Sign on your car that looks different. It's all got to flow through. You've got to pick a brand, pick an idea and just go with it with everything. My business card doesn't have the frog on it, it's got my picture. Because I like people to think they're actually seeing a person, not a frog, when they come in, so that helps. But
Then it's quite important, that search engine thing as well, because if you have no idea, if you're just going Nelson accountant, then if you don't have those keywords in your site a million times, you're going to pop up later on, the second or third page, and no one will bother to, no one will see it.
No, you got to be on that first page. And I don't know how you do that. I'm not, I would say that I like gadgets and stuff, but I have no idea how you do a website. So I got someone else to do that, to put all the right words in the right places, and maps. And maps are great because it's really important to have a map with your website so people can go, oh, I can find you. Another really good thing is to make sure that your contact details are on every page of your website. There is nothing worse than going to the front page, seeing it, and then you've got to find the little toolbar up the top that says contact us. Make sure your phone number, contact details, every single page of the website. Very important. And I love it when you go to search somebody, you find who you're looking for, and there's a phone number actually within this on the Google page. That's even better. People, we're too busy. We're so busy these days. We've got used to getting information just like that. You know, so people still use the yellow pages, and I find that interesting. And the bigger centres, Wellington, Auckland, Christchurch, they don't. Provincial towns, they do. Yellow pages advertising still works in the provincial towns. People still like going through the book, or they do it online for yellow pages online. So I found that quite interesting. That'll probably still be the same. You have to look at who your market is, who you're marketing to. If you're aiming for a younger age group, they're probably not going to read the paper.
Social marketing, I mean, yes.
Social media is where you're going to get them. They're gonna, if they want to know the news, they'll just look it up on the internet. They want to find out, they want a celebrant, marriage celebrant, they're going to look you up on the internet.
You can often get your link to your web page onto a whole lot of other web pages as well.
Yep,
So
that's
just making
great.
sure that
That
link
is
is
great.
everywhere.
You've got to,
Through
yeah.
LinkedIn as well.
LinkedIn,
Yep,
Facebook.
you just, so
Every
when you
other
go
thing.
onto Facebook, trying to get everything matching there. LinkedIn, have the same photo, have the same logo. When it says fill out your profile page, fill out your profile page. Fill every
Put your
single
website
bit
on it.
in. The more you fill out on a profile page on those social media websites, the more information's there, the more you'll get seen.
And if you link to an association, like
Professional
Celebrants
bodies.
Association or
Yeah.
councils or whatever, you can actually put your own. Yeah, so you can be on theirs,
Yeah.
but you can put your own website on that. So
Yeah, exactly, and that helps. So making sure you can link with other people, getting permission obviously, of course, and that sort of thing is great.
a little bit's free. If you
Yeah.
you pay your membership to belong to that organisation,
Yeah.
that's part of the deal.
It is part of the deal. So that's really
It's tax
important.
deductible.
Absolutely, tax deductible. Flyers can work. I've tried flyers, didn't work. That's okay. But some businesses, they do work. If you're going to do a flyer drop, have a little discount or something. Bring this in and you will receive one plant free or something, because then you know your marketing's working. You have to test and measure your marketing strategy. You have to see what's working, because you're spending money on marketing and advertising. You need to see if that dollar you spent is worth it.
And that can be as simple as just asking customers, so how did you hear about it?
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
and just keeping track of that.
Yep. So in Nelson, for example, your best form of advertising is word of mouth, referrals.
Yeah, it's a small enough community that works really well.
But you can reward those referrals too, depending on your business.
Absolutely. Of course you do. Thank you.
Jar of honey.
Good service.
Yep. Just a thank you goes a long way these days, because people just don't say thank you so much anymore. I don't know if you notice that, but it just doesn't happen. You know, it could be looking at your suppliers and going, okay, well, I buy a lot of product of these people. I'm going to give them something to say thank you, and they might just recommend me when, you know, they're talking to other customers, for example. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Having a reciprocal deal with people. You know, it could be in that scenario with group one, yes, can do the gardening but can't trim the trees. So it's basically maybe creating an association with a landscaper, not a financial partnership, but just like, let's work together, and you know, you'll refer me for garden jobs and I'll refer you for landscaping jobs, and we'll team up. Yeah, those sort of things. It's really, in my mind, thinking outside the square again, thinking about where you can market, where you can advertise, how you can do that, and then finding out what works. T-shirts are great. Print your T-shirts. Do a quirky thing. I haven't quite decided if I want to wear the frog on T-shirt yet, but it may happen. I may ditch the suits, and we might all be
Yeah,
in the
frog
office with
outfits.
jeans and T-shirts with frogs on us. Yeah, I have
We
maybe.
have that for week 4.
Maybe I might just go casual, you know. And then that would be tax deductible because I'd have Smart Business Centre all over it. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure the girls in the office would love that. Okay, goal setting. I'm not going to make you goal set because this is a fictitious business. Goal setting is really important. I believe in goal setting. I goal set every month. Every single month there's a full moon in that sky, I'm goal setting. And I do it because it's a visual reminder to me that a month has passed. It's all real to say I'll do it on the first of the month, that it's a bit bright at night time, it's goal setting night, here we go. It doesn't take long, it takes me 5 minutes, it's done.
Do you goal set monthly based upon a month-to-month thing, or do you still have a goal setting thing for a year, or is it?
Yeah, I always put finish dates, like I want to do this by December 2014,
Right.
or I want to do this every month, and
So
I
it's
goal
not
set.
a goal setting of this is for just this month. It's just
No.
general goal setting.
General goal setting. I write a whole list of goals, and next month I look at that last month's list and I go, oh yeah, that happened. Cross. It's not like I might realise the goals reached at the time, but when I review the goal setting list, I can go, yeah, crossed off, done, crossed off. Add some more. But if you don't do it, you don't do it. If you get my drift. You know, everyone says goal set, but if you don't write them down, it's not real.
Not written down, it never happened.
Correct. What happens when you go to the supermarket without a shopping list?
Chocolate, it's not much chocolate.
Yeah. So it's shopping list helps you stay focused. You know exactly what you got to buy. Yes, you still will buy chocolate if it's not on there, but you will achieve what's on the shopping list in theory. Yes, I have missed something off the shopping. It's stared me right in the face, and I've got home and went, oh, yeah, that was on the list. That's fine. But goal setting in your business is about writing it down. It doesn't have to be long sentences. It doesn't have to be, I must do this, and a real big task. Just write a word. 2 words. Doesn't matter, just write it. Leave it in, I keep a notebook and I just have a page for each month. So you could just keep it and then you can flick through and go, oh yeah, we actually achieved that. So goal setting, I mean, I do it monthly, you can do it monthly, you can do it yearly, whatever you want. I believe goal setting is another living document. Set up task reminders on your computer that you wanted to achieve that by that day and make it ping at you. Every so often, 5 days to go, hasn't happened yet. You'll get sick of the pinging, but it will keep you focused. So that I believe that's very, who goal sets? Excellent, good. And review the plan regularly. At the very minimum, review your business plan yearly. I have a business plan for my business, and we have budgets. We set budgets every year, we review it, but we also have a plan every month as well, separate to my individual goal setting, which is business related as well. But with the Smart Business Centre, for my business as well, with my business partners out of town, we write the goals that we've had on our list at the beginning of the year, and they stay there till we tick them off. So if we've got big ones we want to achieve, then they stay on that until we've done them, and they get looked at every month.
Particularly when you're setting up a new business, you don't want to leave it 12 months till you have a look at it and think, oh, did that work?
No, you don't. But this is what can happen with a new business or any business. You get so stuck in your business, you forget to work on your business. And that's the big...
Day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a mother, I have a child, I run a business, I run a home, I get them to school and from school, and it's busy, life is busy. But I still have to keep focused on the goals and everything else for my business, but I have goals for family too. So you see, you've just got to keep focused on everything.
It can be as simple as reflection time after each job. Like
Absolutely.
she comes back from her first garden, let's reflect what went well, what
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
change the plan.
Exactly. Excellent. So that's business planning. It's not daunting. Does everyone feel a little bit better about business planning?
It's scary and good all at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
But
really
like a
useful
roller
in
coaster.
that group environment though, because,
Yes.
you know, you do have your own thoughts.
That's right, and when you've got your business idea, or even if you're working in your business, you might not see the, what does it say, see the wood for the trees, so that's, as they say, where somebody who's looking from the outside in might say, have you thought about this? And you go, oh no, oh that's good. So it does help to actually business plan with somebody who's actually not got nothing to do with your business.
Would you suggest doing that with the same person regularly, or?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously, you can't just, you might not have a heap of success just randomly pulling people off the street.
Oh, you never know.
That does make sense though, because if you, depending on what your business is, chances are people are hiring you because they can't do it themselves. And so
Correct.
that's the person you're talking to about what should this business look like. They ask, that's someone who doesn't know anything about that field because they can't do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Great.
there are people out there whose business it is to do that with people, isn't there? There's mentors and things as well, so.
And business advisors
business
do that
advisors
kind of thing
as opposed
too.
to financial
Yes,
advisors.
yes, as opposed to, yeah.
And the differences in between, but yeah,
I love this stuff.
it's.
I'd rather do this than balance books. No disrespect. I have staff who do that. This is my forte. It's much more fun.
Your strength, as it were.
Hmm?
Your strength.
Yes, my strength. I mean, I can balance books, but yeah, I've done that for a while now. So I hire people to do that. Oh yeah, yeah, I know. Phew. Didn't just get
Didn't
my.
want to change my provider.
No. We're all good. Excellent. Okay, go forth and plan. See you next week.
So, what next week's stuff? What, 2-page business plan, can be as vague or as extensive as we like.
Correct.
Yep.
You don't have to do it by next week, but if you do, and I will review it.
Cool. That sounds like good motivation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, thanks guys.